Yo, what up guys, this is your boy Legendary here, and today people, we're going to be doing a brand new video idea here. We're going to be doing our very first tier list video. This has been going really huge on YouTube for a while now, so I'm very excited to actually be doing this. This is also going to be an uncut video, so I'm not going to cut anything out really. So I want this to be a video where I really don't do a lot of editing. I'm going to add music in the background and that's it. I'm not going to do any cuts. I want this to be a nice chill and relaxed kind of me talking to you guys, expressing how I feel about each character and whatnot, and that's it. I want it to be very relaxed, but there still will be music in the background obviously. But yeah, this is going to be a very chill video, so that's what I'm looking forward to. It's going to be uncut, all that, and whatnot. But also, for this video, I just wanted to let you guys know that you guys already saw my top 5 main characters, so you guys already know how I feel about them. But I'm going to take my personal feelings and put them aside for now, and I'm going to look at these characters objectively, because I want to kind of judge them based on their own merits, how they are as a character, not how I feel about them personally or why I love them, but just the fact that based on how good they were as the main characters. Now I'm mumbling over my words, but like I said, I'm not gonna edit. I'm gonna just be myself and this and that, and you know what, I stumble over my words sometimes, so it is what it is. But anyway guys, I'm gonna look at these characters objectively, and I'm gonna explain to you why I put them in each individual rank. Keep in mind, this is my personal opinion, even though I am being more objective about it. So even though I'm being more objective about it, it is still my personal, you could disagree with me if you want, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me if you don't think I judge these characters correctly or whatever. But it is what it is. Anyway, we're going to hop right into it. I honestly do not know where to begin. I'm not going to start with Jaden just yet. I'm going to go with... Alright, I'm going to start with Yusei Fudo here. Alright, we already know Yusei Fudo, he's the man. He is the man. So as a character, I would say Yusei Fudo he's a great character. He's fun. I could understand why people see him as a Mary Sue. He is a pretty perfect character, He's got the dramatic backstory. He's very quiet, stoic. He's very... I don't even know if stoic is the right word. I probably shouldn't use words I don't know. But anyway, he's very serious. And, and he cares a lot about people, which I really like that. He cares a lot about others and all that stuff. But, he is pretty perfect on paper. He doesn't have too many flaws. He has some emotional weight on him, because he feels partially guilty for what his father did, and he wants to make up for that. But other than that, he is pretty perfect. He doesn't really seem to have any real flaws, honestly. He's written to be pretty perfect. So I'm going to put him at the A tier, because I feel like his story was great. The conclusion in season 1 for Yusei's story was pretty. Actually, well, that wasn't was that the conclusion? It wasn't the conclusion of his story, but whatever. He was just a good character. He played a good role. I'm not going to put him in S tier, because I do think, once again, he was just a little too perfect. And you might think, well, shouldn't that mean he's in S tier then? I would say no, not really. I think they could have shown more flaw in him and shown him struggling a bit more. I mean, he definitely did struggle, like with Callan and stuff, and losing his friends and stuff like that. I'm going to say he showed emotion. Trust me, I know he showed emotion. It's not really about emotion. It's just... he didn't have any flaw. He was kind of like written as a perfect character. You could relate to him, you could like him. He has a great backstory that you could all like understand where he's coming from and all that. But yeah, so Yusei's just A tier. He's definitely not perfect here, but he's A tier. You could argue though and put him in S tier. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. It could go either way, honestly, but I'll put him in A tier for now. Alright, so next up, we're gonna do little Yugi Moto over here, and we're doing the anime. Okay, we're not doing the manga of the characters. We're just doing the anime. So for Yugi Moto, I'm not putting him in D tier. D tier is really bad. That means you failed. It's a failed character, and I definitely don't agree with that. So I would say Yugi Moto is a C tier character, and here's why. He just didn't do enough. The writers kind of gave all the attention to Atem, and that really sucks. I really wish they gave him more attention, like more times to shine as a duelist. but he was a very as a character himself. I think he is a great character. It's just, once again, he was just put on the sidelines. He became more of a cheerleader. Atem ended up taking up all the duels for no reason. Some duels he didn't even need to take, but Atem would just come in and take the duels. But whenever Yugi did duel, he was good. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't need help in being a good duelist. He already is a good duelist. That's one of the reasons why he was chosen, because he's a good duelist and because he was able to solve the Millennium Puzzle. He was chosen for this. He's the reincarnation of Atem as well. So, he's not like this character that is like weak. The only thing is he struggled with confidence, and I guess that's what he grew by the end of it, was more confidence. He stood up to himself more and kind of like stood his own battle, against Bakura and this and that. But once again, they just didn't spend enough time developing him overall, showing him grow in confidence and this and that. I don't agree with the fact that he wasn't a brave character, because we've seen many examples, even in flashbacks, where Yugi was brave and he did step in, like to say, when Tristan and Joey were getting bullied, I specifically remember him, defending them and standing up and getting beat up with them. So, and that shows bravery. So, like, it's not like he wasn't a brave character. He was a brave character. He was already a good, kind-hearted, brave character. He stepped in when he needed to. Maybe he was a little bit afraid, but he did it. And even in the duel with Pegasus, he kind of stepped up, right? Like, in order, it was his idea to do the whole mind swap thing. And even though he couldn't handle the pressure of a shadow game, he still continued to do that mind swap thing because he felt that was the best way that they could have done to win. So he sacrificed his life, his spirit, in order to help Atem win the duel. So as far as I'm concerned, Yugi was already an amazing character. He was already a good character. The reason why he's lower is because he just didn't get used enough. He just wasn't in the spotlight enough. They gave all the attention to Atem, and I don't think that makes him a good character, because they shafted him as a character. He became a sideline character, and I don't like that. They're a team, they're a duo, and this and that. Oh yeah, also I forgot to mention, for these two, you see how there's Yami and Yugi over here, and then you also have Yuma and Astral. The reason why I have it like that is because I'm going to rank them both separately and then rank them together as a duo, because they're duo main characters. So I'll rank them as a duo and I'll rank them separately, just so you guys know why that's like that. But so Yugi, I would say he's a C-tier character just because he didn't get a lot of spotlight. He didn't get too many times to shine. He got it at the very end, but at that point it was like, it was cool to see. I still loved it, but it just felt kind of like, oh, here he is at the very end, and now he's gonna step up and do something. Felt like they could have shown more progression throughout the show with him, and they didn't. Next up, we're gonna do Atem. So for Atem, I guess I'll personally put him as a C tier. Maybe I'll put him at B tier. Let me think about it more first. So let's talk about Atem. His whole purpose is to get his memories back. He was kind of like this character that just stepped into duels, and he always found a way to win, even through some really nonsensical situations. He would create his own situations and his own broken cards. But aside from that, he did grow in the sense that Yugi did help him to be more kind and compassionate and caring about others, because he was the type of person that he wants to win at all costs. So if he's gonna win, he doesn't care if you get hurt. He's gonna go in and win that duel. Like when Kaiba was gonna commit suicide in Duelist Kingdom, he was gonna go through with the attack, and then Yugi had to intervene because this and that, and he didn't quite understand that or whatever. So over time, he did become more attached to the main group and started to care more about people. So he did grow, showed him about love and compassion and all that stuff. So, all right. So yeah, even though I'll put him above Yugi, because even though I love Yugi more as a character, obviously Atem is better written just for the simple fact that he had the most screen time, and really I felt like Atem grew more from Yugi's presence than Yugi grew from Atem's presence, in my personal opinion. So Atem is a better written character in my opinion, but I like Yugi more. Obviously this list would be completely different if I was rating it based on personal feelings. but it is what it is. So yeah, I'll put Atem ahead. I think that makes sense. Even though I want to put Yugi ahead of him, I think that makes sense because he did grow a lot as a character, more so than Yugi did, because Yugi was always on the sidelines. Anyway, okay, so let's move on next. Let's do... Anyway, so I'm going to do Yuya next. Why not? So Yuya was... He was a good character. I don't hate him like other people did. I do see his flaws. I see his passion and dedication to want to cheer up the world through smiles, to kind of save the world through smiling, through entertainment-style dueling. And I really like that. I like his philosophy. I do feel he copied that off of his dad. Obviously, he was inspired by his dad, which is not really a bad thing. But it did start to feel like over time he was trying too hard to copy his dad. And he just wasn't his dad. He wasn't. And when we saw Yusho for the first time, the way he did entertainment dueling, it felt very different. Very different. So yeah, and he just did it better. He didn't force the entertainment style on other people. He kind of just did his thing, and he was putting on a show. And whether you liked it or not, that was on you. But, he just was doing his own thing, and that's it. But Yuya was kind of like, and Yuya is a kid, and he's tired of seeing all this pain around in the world and how people are using dueling for pain and suffering. And I get that, it's sad, and I don't, and think about it, Yusho is an adult. He's a grown-up, he's fully grown. I mean, Yuya's 14, so of course, Yusho would know how to entertain more and how to, defuse situations better. He's an adult. He's not a child. He knows how to handle himself better. Another kind of annoying thing about Yuya is he seemed to kind of learn the same lesson over and over again. He would get depressed and then overcome it, and then get depressed again and overcome it. And that's kind of a flaw, but at the same time, when you think about real life humans, whenever they're struggling with something, dealing with something, there's a lot of backsliding. There really is. When you're going through something traumatic, or when you're struggling with your ideals or whatever, sometimes you kind of go back and forth a little bit. It's not easy to just say, all right, well, now I'm gonna live my life this way. No, it's much harder. It's much harder to do that. I've seen that in my own life with people that I know, that it is not easy to change your way. You can't just all of a sudden decide to change your ways. It is harder than it looks, much harder. So, when you look at him as a real person, I could understand that. But I understand why people would consider that annoying and kind of repetitive. But at the same time, it's also realistic, and he is a kid, so it makes sense that he would go back and forth a lot too. But even adults go back and forth a lot, so it's not really a kid thing. It's an emotional thing, having to deal with this dark world around you and trying to be happy during that, trying to bring smiles, is very difficult. It's very difficult, and you saw that struggle. He wanted to bring it, but he was struggling because he was so angry and there was so much pain and suffering. So I understood him, and I think he's really not a bad written character, but he did get kind of annoying after a while. But, that's debatable. But it's not based on how I feel. I think he is a good character. Should I put him in C tier or B tier? I definitely think he could have been written better overall. He could have been handled better, so I won't put him very high. I won't put him in A or S, so it's either B or C. I do think, sadly enough, he's definitely better than Yugi, because of the fact that, like I said, Yugi just didn't get spotlight. Yugi's the main character. He's always there, and he was, not that Yugi was badly written, but there was character development, and it was shown, and whether you liked it or not, that's really more personal. Is he better than Yugi? See, that's where it's gonna get kind of. Is he better than Atem, I should say? I'm trying to be as objective as possible, guys. As objective as possible. Atem definitely wasn't a perfect character, and neither was Yuya. So it could really go either way. Either Yuya could be above Atem, or before. Either after or before Atem, whatever. I'm not really sure. I'll leave him right there for now, because I don't think he's a bad character, to be honest. I don't think Yugi's a bad character. It's just, you get judged a lot. But it is what it is. Alright, so let's move on. So, right now, Okay, so we're getting down to the really good characters. So just to finish off the whole Yugi and Atem thing. So as a duo, I think Atem and Yugi were better characters individually than they were together. I felt like as a duo they weren't that good together because once again, like I said, Atem took the spotlight all the time. All the time. It was barely a partnership. It wasn't like Yuma and Astro, which we'll get to later. But yeah, their relationship was really lacking to me, and I like it could have been handled so much better. Not that it was bad, it was good. You know, it had its moments. They definitely did grow together, learn to trust each other. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it's passable. See, it's passable, right? That's like a 65 or whatever in grading, 65 to 70 around there. But yeah, I just don't think they were a good pair together. I think it was done better later on with Yuma and Astro. But I do think they're better characters individually, weirdly enough. But that's just me. Anyway, moving forward. So we're gonna do Yuma and Astro next. Right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, whatever. I just did this duo. Yuma and Astro's S tier. Once again, this isn't about me being biased. I think Yuma's and Astro's relationship is beautiful, and I also think it's genuine and it was developed extremely well. It was such a well-developed relationship, more so than Yugi and Atem, in my personal, not just in my opinion, but even just objectively speaking. I mean, one thing is the first, I forgot, 10 or so episodes of Zale that everyone hated, I loved. If you're really watching the show and paying attention and trying to understand the characters, you'll understand why the first 10 episodes are important, whether you believe it or not. And the first 10 episodes shows, the first 10 or more episodes before Kaito decided to show up and stuff like that, shows the relationship between Yuma and Astro growing. Like, they didn't like each other at first, they didn't trust each other, they constantly were insulting each other. It was very annoying. Astro was kind of this emotionless robot, and he just knew how to duel. He was this duel spirit, and that's it. Like, he didn't have much emotion, he didn't understand anything about the world. And Yuma, he was just this naive kid who was really bad at dueling and needed help learning how to duel and just made a lot of stupid mistakes. But Yuma was also the one willing to take chances while Astro wasn't, because Astro was the type of person who, you know, he thinks very analytically, what's the best chance of winning, so he wouldn't take chances. But Yuma would, and there's a lot of times in the show where because Yuma took that chance that Astro wouldn't, they won the duel. So Yuma kind of shows that kind of belief that, you know, there's more than just understanding like what's the best chance of winning. Sometimes you gotta take that chance. Sometimes you gotta gamble and test it out. And, you know, if you're gonna lose anyway, you might as well gamble and see what happens. And Yuma does gamble a lot, but it usually pays off for him. So, you know, they learned each other from that. It was really good, and I felt like their relationship just grew very genuinely. They didn't like each other at first, and then over time they learned to kind of depend on each other and protect each other, and they became very much like brothers and best friends. And, you know, they've been through a lot of pain together because of Vector and all that stuff, and it's just been through so much. But they were just well done. They were well handled. I believed their friendship because it was a friendship that grew, that wasn't forced. And they took their time building that bond, so that way, and it makes sense because when they turned Zale at the end of season 1 for the first time, that shows how far they've come, because that's the bond between the two of them. That's how they're able to combine. They have to have a close bond together to be able to transform together into the Zale mode. And then every time they uncovered a new Zale form, you know, Zale 2, Zale 3, that shows the progression of their bond, that they just kind of grew even closer together. Their bond is even stronger now. That's why they kept growing in power, because their bond kept growing. And Zale 2 was actually very interesting because it was after Vector had kind of ruined the relationship between Yuma and Astro and kind of darkened Astro's heart because of Yuma lying to him, keeping Vector's secret from him and this and that, because he wanted to trust Rei Shingetsu, which was Vector, and all that stuff. So Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then so he kind of had to Astro kind of had to let go of that and had to learn to trust Yuma even after Yuma had technically betrayed him, even though he didn't do it for malicious intent. But he felt like Astro wouldn't understand, or this and that, and he well, not even that. He wanted to tell Astro, but Ray kind of insisted that he not tell him because it should be a secret and this and that, and he's doing his job. It was all a trick. It was all a lie, but that was kind of them breaking through that second level, that trust. It's like, man, you broke my trust, and then coming back from that, now they have Zale Form 2, and then Zale Form 3. I think that's when I think that was when Yuma had brought Astro back from Astro World, and he had lost him for a while, and Astro always, I think Astro said that he knew that he would come for him and this and that, and it was crazy. It was good. Their relationship was beautiful. It was very believable. Every time Yuma cried, it broke my heart. Every time, and when he lost Astro in Zale, in the second half of Zale, for several episodes, for quite a while, and he had to save him. Astro, that was such an emotional moment, and it was beautiful. I love their relationship. It was so well done, and as a duo, they're a great duo because Yuma's still the main character. Like, it's about Astro. Astro has to get his memories back. This is an exact copy of Yugi and Atem, but done better, because Atem also came to get his memories back, and Yugi kind of had to help him get there. The same thing for Yuma, but the difference is the screen time was definitely more towards Yuma, but it was still more balanced, and they showed more of them working together instead of Atem being the only one to do all the work. And then eventually Yuma was able to stand on his own 2 feet. Not even, like, by season 2 he was able to stand on his own 2 feet and really only use Astro's help whenever they went into Zale and stuff like that. But he was already pretty competent by that point. So I just think their relationship is believable. Great character development between the both of them, and they're both great characters. Okay, so we're back. So I had to add Astral in here because I forgot to actually add him in here, and that was a mistake. So I had to break my no-cut rule because I, didn't want to show you all that. It actually took a much longer time than necessary, but here we are. So anyway, we're back to it. So yeah, next up we're going to be doing, we're almost done with the list right here. We're going to be doing next. All right, I'll do Astral next. So Astral, I'll also put S tier. I think Astral's a really good character. He's kind of like the remake of Atem, and whether people like him or not, I think he was a better character than Atem overall. I felt like he grew a lot. He did kind of stick to his ways. He has the mission to destroy the Bearing World, and by the end, he still was going to accomplish that no matter what. But at the same time, he kind of always knew that Yuma was going to be able to stop him somehow. So it's kind of like this weird thing where he still was going to complete his mission because that's why he was created. So he didn't change his ways, and he kind of had no choice because if he didn't do it, then he would die. So it's kind of like he was also stuck in a very difficult place where he didn't have any other choice. I'm sure he would have liked not to do it, but he kind of has to do it. That's literally the reason for his existence, is to destroy the Bearing World. And if he doesn't, then the Astral World will die. So it's kind of like you got to do what you got to do. But he also kind of knew that Yuma would be able to be the one to stop him and this and that, and he did. So Astral's a great character. I already kind of vaguely talked about it, but he was kind of like just a very kind of robotic character where he just knew about dueling and that was it. He didn't understand feelings, and over time he just kept learning about humans, learning about interactions and stuff like that, kind of growing and this and that through Yuma, through other people. He started to become more attached to other people, like Yuma's friends and Kaito and Shark and all this stuff. Like, he actually became a very good character, a more well-rounded. He started robotic, but that's the point, and he ended up being very human by the end of it. And yeah, so I just think he's a great character, and he's a great duelist, and that final duel with Yuma and Astral was just incredible. And as a standalone character, I think he's just completely amazing. Alright, so we're gonna do Yuma next. So Yuma is even better than Astral. Yuma is fantastic. I love Yuma so much. You guys already know he's like my favorite character. But this isn't a favorite list. This is about, this is looking at it objectively. So objectively, I do think he's arguably the best written main character of all of them, in my opinion. That kid went through so much, and he's kind of similar to Yuya in the sense that, he I mean, Yuma was the first one to do it, where he doesn't like the idea of people fighting for revenge or for, evil intent. He wants people to duel for fun. Yuma is the type of person who believes in everyone and believes that everyone has a good side, and that he basically believes in loving everybody, and that no matter how evil you are, messed up you are, you will have a good side for the most part. So he's just a good guy. He's a very good guy, and it breaks my heart because he cares so much for people, and just to see them kind of hurt each other and kill each other, it's not easy for him to watch, and that's why he's crying a lot. That's why he's breaking it down a lot. Is because he's seeing a lot of pain and suffering, and he doesn't want that. Like, these are people that he cares about. He's the type of person that even if you hate his guts, he's still going to be your friend. If he dueled you one time and he had a good time, he feels like he knows your character, and he feels like you're a good guy. Whether you are or not, whether you are or aren't, it doesn't really matter. Yuma chooses to see everyone in a bright light, chooses to see them as a good person, and believes in potential. I do think there are some people that he probably could consider not savable, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think the point of his character was to show someone who's sees through the darkness and looks into the light no matter what, and he's great for that reason. And seeing him suffer and go through all that and all the loss that he had to go through, it's just heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking, and I really wish he didn't have to go through that, but he did. And he had to struggle with his own ideals too, because he didn't want the Barbarian world to be destroyed. He wanted everyone to live in peace, but he was in this tough situation where there's nothing he could do. And the final duel with Nash was the most impactful duel of all, because at that moment when he was about to win and decided that he's going to win the duel and kill the Barbarian world, before the attack finished going through, he negated his own attack with Hope's effect and decided, no, I'm not going to give up who I am. I'm not going to sacrifice another person's life to save my own, or to save one world, to kill one world to save another. He chose not to do it. And ironically, that was the perfect decision, because due to the effect of Nash's card, had Yuma gone through with the attack, Yuma would have lost the duel. But because he took that chance, and because he stuck true to his ideals, he ended up winning the duel by accident almost. Not really by accident, but in a sense, he chose to kind of hold back his attack and possibly lose the duel, but that's actually what ended up making his win. So in a more real sense, his ideals won that duel. Because he made that decision, because he stuck true to what he believed in, he won the duel. And that was great. That was fantastic. So he's a great character, amazing. He's the best written character in almost all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Either one of the best, or if not the best. He's fantastic. He really is. And I feel like people, just hate on him. They hate his design, or they hate how annoying he is in the beginning or whatever. They can't get behind his personality. They can't get behind the fact that he was a bad duelist at first, which is not really a bad thing, because that's kind of a good thing. Finally, we don't have a prodigy duelist. We have someone who starts off bad like everyone else and then learns to be better over time. Like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. And it was also, to teach the new generation how to duel, because, it's already been probably like 10 years since the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! And they wanted to teach new kids how to duel. So that's also the real reason why as well. But whatever, he grew so much, and if people just sat down and watched the show and stopped judging it so much and just really pay attention to the characters, who they are, and watch them grow and develop and all the trials that they have to go through, they'll see that Yuma is actually a main character. The whole Zeo cast is amazing, but Yuma is a great character. He holds the story together. Like, he's the one who saves everybody. He does. Like, everyone ends up turning good. Everyone ends up turning on his side, because just his love and passion for other people and caring for other people, and his unwillingness to give up on people is what saves people, and it's beautiful. He's an amazing character. It's not easy to make the choice that he makes, but he always makes that choice, no matter how hard it is, and that's why I respect and love him as a character so much. But yeah, so Yuma is fantastic. He's S tier all the way, absolutely. And so these three, S tier all the way. All right, so we got 3 characters left. Let's get right into it. All right. Yusaku Fujiki. Oh my gosh, where to put this guy? All right, so let's see here. Sorry guys, he's going in D tier. I can't do it. I can't. I think personally for me, he's a failed character. Now, putting my personal feelings aside, I don't think he's a well-written character at all. I think they had a great idea with him, but they never finished his character off. They didn't. The final duel in season 1 felt kind of rushed. He got development super quick. He got over his trauma so fast. Like, oh, he duels Revolver. He finds out that that's the person who spoke to him, and all of a sudden by the end of it, it's over it, and then he smiles at the end of the season. I'm like, what? Like, that's it? You were so angry and frustrated for years seeking revenge, now all of a sudden you're over it that easily? Obviously, I want him to get over it, but that's it? That's all it took? You barely, like, really had to contemplate anything, really. Like, you didn't have to go through internal struggles to get to that point or anything. You just kind of got it free. Oh, you dueled the main rival. Season 1 is done. Bam. And then in season 2, he was useless. Like, he didn't really have a role. He was the main character. He was the one saving the day because he was the strongest, but he didn't have a role for himself. He didn't have a role in season... Well, the role in season 3 was just to save Ai, but he didn't do much in that season either until the end. Don't get me wrong, the final duel with Ai was beautiful. It was perfect. I'm not knocking it. I thought it was beautiful. I think the relationship between Ai and Yusaku is grew, and I saw that. I forgot to add Yusaku and Ai in here. Because they're a duo too. They've been together since episode 1, so they are a pair. So I'm not gonna add him in here though, because then I'll have to redo the tier list again, and I'm not doing that. Screw that. So I'll just let you guys know where I put him in. But anyway, just to finish off on Yusaku as a character, yeah, he's undercooked. He's undercooked. He's just kind of like this plain character. He has no personality whatsoever. He is so boring to watch. He doesn't get along with any of the characters at all. He kind of is very stoic and by himself. He's like Yusei, but without any personality or any real kind of backstory. His backstory is just a lost incident, but they barely touch on that at all. They barely do. He got over it after season 1, and then after that, he was practically irrelevant. We didn't learn anything more about his past. We didn't learn... He had no growth or development. He didn't try to do anything really good. He just... I don't know. He was just a failure, in my opinion. C is passable. It's like, alright, you just passed. You're good enough. That's okay. D is like you failed. In my opinion, I think he fails as a main character. He really does. He is lacking severely. He has good ideas, but good ideas aren't enough. He didn't develop at all. Well, he did in season 1, I guess, but it was so rushed that it wasn't believable. And then after that, he pretty much didn't do anything until the Ai arc, and that really wasn't until the very end of the Ai arc during the final duel that we saw him break down and cry and kind of, you know, he had to let go of someone he cared about. It just, that was beautiful, yes, and that's the only really strong point about Yusaku, but that's not enough to hold him up. If he's not D tier, he's the lowest of C tier. The lowest. Like, he's just barely passable. Like, you just got exactly a 65. But to me, he's a D. But I'll put him at C. Nah, screw it. I'm gonna put him at D. But it's either D or at the bottom C, because I don't think Yusaku's a well-written character. I stand by that. I think he was very underdeveloped. And he just has no personality, no interactions with the other characters. He's just boring to watch. He has nothing to him. Just because he has a dramatic backstory, boo-hoo, I'm not gonna cry for you. You're not interesting. You don't have any depth to you. Like, you had some depth to you in season 1, but that was barely tapped upon, and then you got over it super quick, and I don't like that. I really don't. But yeah, so D tier. If I might put him at C, at the bottom C tier, you know, just for that the Ai and Yusaku relationship. But that's its own thing, actually. So I'll consider that separately. So for the Ai and Yusaku relationship, I don't have a picture for it because I just thought of it now. But I'll put that relationship at... I'll put it at B tier, actually. there's not really going to be anything in B tier for right now, but I'll put I and Yusaku's relationship as B tier. I thought it was well developed. Yusaku didn't like him at first at all. He just used him as kind of a tool, or as like, yeah, as a tool, as kind of like as a hostage, so to speak. Had no interest in him at all, and this and that. He was kind of rude to him and disrespectful. But then, like near the end of season 1, like, you know, he learned to trust him and this and that. I saved his life, and they kind of got a closer bond. And then over time, they got a little closer. It was a lot more subtle. It wasn't like very strong. You have to like kind of really look for it. But you see their relationship develop. You see that over time, Yusaku just stops abusing him and mistreating him, and starts, actually respecting him and this and that. And that final duel was perfect. So I'm gonna call their relationship B. It's probably stronger than Yugi and Atem's relationship for me personally. In my opinion, I think it was better, well written, and well done. That's why the final duel impacted so much. Like, I love the final duel between Atem and Yugi. That's one of my favorite duels of all time. But when you look back at the whole series, I'm like, man, like, there was so much room for so much growth on both sides, and as a group together, and I felt like I and Yusaku did it better, but really I was the life of the party in that sense. Also, I forgot to add I on this list as well. I forgot to add I because he's also a protagonist of the show. I can't believe I forgot I, but yeah. So probably what I'll do is I'll just tell you guys where it is now, and then at the very end I'll cut, and then you'll see the updated list right there. But let me finish the list first. So for I will also put in. He's a very interesting character, kind of dark, kind of sad, especially by the end, what he went through, but it was very undercooked at the same time. Like, they gave you just enough, which was good, but obviously the final season was very rushed and there was potential for so much more. But I felt like with what they had, the time that they had left, they did a good job really like creating a deep, because he was the final villain of the final season, and it was very sad by the end. I didn't cry, that's for sure, but I did. It was sad. I'll put him in B tier as well. I think I'll put him in B tier, alongside the relationship with, like, I felt like as a duo they were pretty good. They developed very well, and then I felt like I as a single character was great. But if you just look at Yusaku by himself, I'm sorry, he's the weakest part. You would think he would go up just because of the relationship with I, but as a standalone character, he lacks way too much, so he stays in D. So the I and Yusaku relationship is a B, and tied with it will also be I himself. Maybe even I'll put I above the relationship between the two of them, but I'm not sure. For now, I'll keep them tied. Alright, so now for the last two characters, we have Yuga Odo and Judai Yugi. So we will put Yuga at A tier, because he's brand new. We don't know, we haven't seen him develop too much, but so this won't stay here depending on how his character goes along. But so far, he's a very chill character. He has a dream. He's going for that dream. He plays by his own rules, really, when you think about it. He's not kind of like this rule follower type of person. No, he's like, he'll kind of cheat a little bit. He won't cheat in a duel, but kind of like behind the scenes, he's kind of like, he wants to get rush duels out there, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. If it gets shut down, he's just going to start again and do it again. He doesn't seem to get discouraged by anything. He's very chill, and he's going for his dream, and he doesn't care. He's not going to let any adult stop him from doing what he wants to do. And he's cool. He's very cool. Like, he's not forceful, He's not high strung. He's a very good medium, He reminds me a lot of Yuma and Yuya, but like more chill, like more tamed. Just way more tamed. So, but I really like his character a lot. I think he's really good so far. That could change depending on how things go, but Yuga so far, in the first 5 episodes, he's a really cool character. Very good. Very good. I like him. Next up, finally, we got Jade and Yuki. So Jade and Yuki will also be S tier. Here's why. Originally, I thought maybe he wouldn't be, but not just because he's the best part of GX for a lot of people. I mean, he was, but he's just this happy-go-lucky kid who just wants to duel and enjoy himself, and he takes losses pretty well. Like losses in Duel when he lost to Zane. It hit him a little hard, but he was able to bounce back. It's not a big deal, and it was very chill. And just watching that kind of very chill and relaxed, laid-back kind of guy kind of break down in season 3 and lose his cool, and then lose a bunch of people because of his decisions and everything that he did. He became evil because of it. Literally, the best word to describe him as a character is guilt. Period, is guilt. Because, he kind of, in a way, is responsible for all his friends, even though, they should be responsible for themselves. But they decided to follow him around, and because of that, they kept getting into trouble and stuff, especially in Season 3. I mean, they were being good friends, which is great, but Jaden became very different in Season 3. He was very focused on getting Johan back. He lost Johan. That was one of his close friends, and he wanted to get him back. And he felt guilty for what happened. Everything with Yubel was, amazing. And, he felt responsible for everything. And then because of that guilt and that shame, and after his friends lost his friends lost their lives because of him, whether directly or indirectly, either way, they died because of him, and that kind of completely destroyed him, and he fell in complete darkness, and he became the Supreme King, and he was merciless, and he killed people, and he became a monster, which is crazy. Like, you wouldn't think a character like Jaden would ever go in the direction of something like that. And it's not just for the sake of being edgy. It was done very well. We got to see that close friendship that he formed with Johan. Johan is basically a copy of him, and especially with the stuff with Yubel, it's like once he got some of his memory back and remember who that was, it's like, man, all this stuff happened because I sent Yubel to space and all this stuff. And yeah, his memories got wiped by his parents and this and that, and so it's not entirely his fault. And Yubel was already twisted even before then. Yubel was already twisted before that because she was already killing off his friends when he was a kid, his duel partners and this and that. So, and then people ignored him because they would get sick and die, because every time they dueled him, they would get sick and die because of Yubel's influence. So that's why they sent Yubel to space, hoping that she could get some positive energy, but instead she ended up getting negative energy and became more dark and more twisted and went through a lot of pain and whatever. This isn't about Yubel, but because of that, Yubel came and tortured Jaden's friends and tortured all the people that he cared about, because that was her form of love and all this stuff, and it was just crazy. And then in season 4, we see him completely change. He's very serious. He feels so guilty for everything that happened that he stays completely away from his friends. He decides that he's going to leave the island because he feels like every bad thing that happens is because of him, and he feels like if he's gone, everyone will be better off. He stops hanging out with everyone and stuff like that because he just feels so guilty. He's responsible. He killed so many people. He has a lot of sin. He killed a lot of people. He did. The darkness inside him took over, and he killed a lot of people. That was him. That's his dark side. You never would think he would have a dark side like that, but he did. He killed a bunch of people, and that weighs on him heavily. And he feels just responsible for everything. For all the pain and all the suffering and all the death, he feels responsible. So he's a very deep character. He developed a lot. He went from a very fun, laid-back character who doesn't take things too seriously to a character who was forced to take things seriously. And then because of his decisions that he made and not thinking things through all the way, it caused the death of a lot of his friends and close people, and a lot of the death of many other people and duel monsters that he didn't know. And then he just became a former shell of himself. And then at the very end, he kind of got his smile back when he dueled Yuki and remembered like the joy inside of dueling and this and that. And he's able to move forward because of that. But he's a very deep character. He's very, very S-tier character. Very good. He's definitely much deeper than Yusei. I'm not cutting on Yusei. I love Yusei. He's on A-tier. But, Jaden wasn't a perfect character. He had a lot of... He was perfect in the sense like he always kept winning duels, but he did lose. But he was flawed. He made a lot of mistakes. He wasn't always considerate of other people's feelings, and he kind of just went off and did his own thing, and that kind of cost people their lives at times, and caused people to get into trouble. Wasn't entirely his fault because he didn't ask to be the leader necessarily, but he was kind of made to be the leader. Everybody looked up to him, and he didn't really look at himself as a leader. It's just, but whatever, they followed him and they got hurt because of it, and this and that. So he is S tier character all the way. The more I think about him, it's more than just the fact that he turned evil and that was like a huge plot twist. No, it's you putting all the pieces together. As a character, he developed so much and grew up as an adult and learned the darkness of life, of growing up and making bad decisions and losing people that you care about, all that stuff, and learning to move forward from that. And then he at the end of season 4, he goes off, he adventures with Yubel and everyone else to kind of help other people, basically help, just to help other people. So he kind of, goes off and becomes a hero in a sense, wants to help other people and other duel monsters connect with each other and stuff like that. But yeah, he's S tier all the way. He was a very deep character. More deep than you would think on paper, and season 3 and 4 kind of showed that off. Not that season 1 and 2 wasn't great. Season 1 and 2 was great, but when we see season 3 and 4 and you put it all together, all the seasons together, it's like, wow, like that happy-go-lucky kid, that innocent kid, got a taste of the real world and how dark and messed up it is, and that completely destroyed him and turned him into a person that he wasn't. So, yeah, he's great. S tier all the way. So Yuma, Astral, and the relationship between Yuma and Astral, S tier all the way. Right below that is Yusei, he's A tier. Then we got Yuga, he's A tier because he's really chill, but I'm not gonna go too hard on him because he's still a brand new character. But so far, so good. I like what I see. Alright, next up, B tier, we got I, and then we have the relationship between I and Yusaku. So that's probably tied, or maybe I would be first. Either way, it's that. Next up for C tier, we got Yuya Sakaki. Like I said, pretty good character. He's passable, but I could see the problems with him. I can see why people get annoyed with him. But yeah, he's C tier for sure. And then we got Atem. I felt like he was a pretty good character. I felt like he could have been better. Could have been handled a little bit better as well. But yeah, he's good. He's good, but he's just not as powerful of a character as someone like Jaden or Yuma or even Yusei, in my opinion. And even just looking at it objectively, I think the characters above are stronger characters overall. And that could be arguable. Maybe you would think, all right, how is I higher than Atem? I don't know. That's just how I'm seeing it right now. I could be wrong. I might be missing some things, but I don't know. It's just, he's okay. He's good. He's not amazing. Just because he's the main character, he doesn't get a free pass to be S tier. No, he's not the greatest character in the world. He's definitely not. But he did grow a lot, and he was a good character. And then we got Yugi, terribly unused. He was just unused, and that's the biggest problem. He was on the sidelines, and because of that, we didn't get to see his growth and development. We didn't get to see many examples of him becoming more confident and becoming his own man. We didn't get to see that because all the attention was on Atem, and that really brought him down. So that's sad. I like Yugi more as a character, but unfortunately, he is not written as good as Atem because he didn't get as much screen time. And then the duel between Atem and Yugi is last on the C tier because I felt like it could have just been done so much better, like Yuma and Astral. And it's not just because I'm comparing it to Yuma and Astral, but Yuma and Astral was a remake of their relationship, and it was done a million times better. In my opinion, and objectively speaking, I think it was done so much better. Yeah, so it's right there. And then bottom tier, D tier. I'm sorry, Yusaku. I really wanted to like you. I tried so hard. I waited so long for you to develop. I never wanted to dislike you. I wanted to like you. I just was waiting for your backstory. I was waiting for development. I was waiting for you to grow, but you just stayed the same. That's it. You got over your anger, so you just became tamed. But after that, you had no purpose, and you didn't develop or grow in any way. You didn't develop or grow in your relationships with other characters either. You were just kind of a stale character. You were there to be the hero because you were the strongest and no one could defeat you. Therefore, you're the only one that could save the day by default. And that's it. But you yourself wasn't an interesting character at all. And I'm not going to give you a pass by just because you have a dark backstory that is very underdeveloped, in my opinion. So no, that's not good enough. But yeah, so sorry for that rant there, but Yusaku's very low. He's not a good character, and I stand by that. You could disagree, that's fine. A lot of people don't agree with me on that, but he is not a good written character. If the only highlight about him is season 1, then that means he's not a good character. Because if in season 2 and 3 he did nothing, then you can't just ignore season 2 and 3. You have to also just you have to look at it as a whole. You can't just selectively choose your moment. As a whole, Yuma was great. As a whole, Astro was great. As a whole, Judai was great. As a whole, Yusei was great. Like they were all great as a whole throughout the whole series, throughout their growth and everything. They were all great. Yusaku was only great for a small moment, and then after that was useless. Like he wasn't important really. He was important because he was the main character and he was forced to save the day, but he wasn't important himself. And it is what it is. And he didn't grow at all or change at all. He was just always him. But yeah. Alright guys, so that's the list right there. That is me doing a tier list of all the main protagonists. My long elaborated thoughts on all of them. This video was probably very long, but I had fun with it. It was great me delving into it. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on it. I know people are going to disagree with that, and that's okay. It's fine. I don't agree with all of other people's opinions either, but even though Yuma and Jaden ended up being on the top, and they are my two favorite characters, they also were well-written characters, so they deserve to be on the top. Because not only do I love them personally, but I love them personally because they're well-written, because of who they are. There's more depth to them. So they're up there because they deserve to be up there. Whether you agree with it or not, that's okay. But they deserve to be up there. Yusei is great, but he could have, he was too perfect. So that's why he didn't go in S tier, because he could have just, had some more flaws. He was too perfect. And I do get that. There's nothing wrong with that, but he was too perfect, and that's okay. So that's the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for listening. God bless you guys. Thank you guys for everything. If you guys want to see me do another tier list of the rivals, of main villains, of all the Yu-Gi-Oh series together, whatever you want, just let me know in the comment section below, and I will do another one for you guys next time. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. God bless you guys. See you guys in the next video. Gotcha!